Hi there, Jason Fisher from CRMA. We're just going to go through some of the impacts that have resulted due to COVID. Um, Probably isn't going to impact dealers around Australia a massive amount, but definitely impacts on Victorian dealerships and in particular Melbourne Metro dealerships. And what we're looking at here is the specifically looking at Toyota Service Advantage. So if you can bear with me with the presentation, I'm going to go through some numbers, just sort of showing where things are at and what's going to happen with your businesses over the next sort of 9 months. So what we're looking at here is, in an ideal world, the red markers here show um, when vehicles are due for service, which is all driven by delivery date rather than last service. Ideal world, either you're using CRMA or you're using your own maintenance reminder system, which would mean that you should be reminding these vehicles for service here. And then what we're saying is the vehicles come in here, so the X's indicate that the vehicles are coming in. Again, what we're looking at is pre-COVID. What we would have said is this is when all the vehicles were due. This is when all the service reminders would have gone out. And then the unfortunate reality is the car comes in on time for its first service, maybe it's a little bit late for its second service, third service is a little bit late, fourth service we're slipping out a bit, then service comes back in, and so we're obviously trying to get those, like land those X's inside the red markers here, but that's the unfortunate reality of where we're at. So now looking at COVID, same vehicle where we're saying this is when the vehicles are all due for service. What we're saying is this is when we should have been reminding all these vehicles for service. Car comes in for a service in August 2019. Car comes in for service in February 2020. Unfortunately, for the Melbourne Metro deals, and we're not going too much into the first lockdown here, but so this is when the lockdown happened for the Victorian dealerships. So what that meant is for most of our clients, and we would be guessing that because of the restrictions, there was no service reminders that were going out during this period here. So what we're saying is in August, September and October is that there was virtually, there was very limited servicing being done. There was virtually no cars being sold. Things were very quiet in this period, which everybody is well aware of. And congratulations to everybody that have ridden those bumps and got through it. Where Toyota was fantastic is that they said, if your vehicle was due for service in here and your service is expired, we're going to let you come back in here to get your car serviced, and we'll still honour the cap price for the service, which is a fantastic thing that Toyota have done. However, it has created an issue, which we're going to look at here. So that service that you did in December, for again going back here looking at the vehicle that was due for service in August, September, October, you've actually got a 0% retention for that one because it fell outside of the TSA. So the guest got the cap price service, but unfortunately for your retention, you got zero for it. It also means that this vehicle was again due for service. So the example we're looking at here, the car would have been due for service in August 2020. We're now saying the car would have been due for service in February 2021, which is all the period that we're starting to hit now, and we're actually seeing this is starting to impact on our clients. We're sending out service reminders, and this guest understandably is saying, I'm not bringing my car in 2 months after I've had my car serviced. So what's happening is we're trying to remind people to come in for service here, and they're not coming in for the simple reason that they've serviced so recently. Obviously, there's a lot of people that haven't done the kilometres that they would need to do because they've been leaving cars at home and that sort of thing. So what happens is this guest actually now comes in for service in, let's just call it June here. So what's happened is this service has been missed. So from a retention point of view, you need to look at it that you've lost this service here. The service here that you've done, you actually couldn't claim, so it doesn't go towards your retention figures. This service here, where the guest has said, I'm not coming back in because it's too close to when the last service was, and I'm actually coming in here, meaning you get 0% retention here again. So again, we do this service here, you get 0% retention. Now, when you're here, there are a couple of options. One is that you go back and you claim this service, because it might be that this service had a pollen filter. It might be that it was the service 4. It's the major service. So again, you go back and claim this service here, but again, you've got 0% retention. So again, looking at it, do we claim this service just here, or do we go forward and claim this service here, depending on what the requirement is? So again, keeping in mind this service, if you claim this 0% retention for that service, the next thing that happens is, looking at this, is if you don't claim this service, and this service gets missed again. So again, what we're saying is you've missed this service here, and this service here, and then we're trying to get the guest back in for February in 2022. So what you're looking at is, in the 18 months of the cycle of this vehicle, you potentially have serviced this vehicle twice, got 0% retention for it, or you've missed a service here, 0% retention. You've missed this service, which means there's 2 services that have been missed, and instead what you've done is gone back and claimed this service just here. So this is a decision you need to make. Now, what happens if you do go and claim this service just here? You then have to notify that guest that they've then got 18 months in between, 8 months in between getting their vehicle serviced. So this is not ideal. So again, we're trying to educate TSA guests that their services should be done every 6 months, regardless of kilometres, which makes these situations here very tricky. So again, no vehicle sales, services come in late, miss this service comes in, do we go back and claim that? So what we're expecting to see, and starting to see now, is corresponding to this 3 months here where the businesses were closed, is all the vehicles that were due for service in here, that are 6-month service interval vehicles, are being impacted here, meaning that service departments are now starting to get quiet, which is exactly what we're seeing start to happen. So again, this was for 6-month service interval vehicles. Again, look at 12 months is August is when the car's due for service. Come in August. Reminders in August, and then service reminders are sent in August. Pre-COVID, again, perfect world. This is exactly when all the services are due. This is when we should be sending the service reminders, or we do send the service reminders. And again, this guest might come in a month late, but effectively what we're doing is 3 services claimed, 3 services done. Again, the impact of COVID. This is when the vehicles were all due for service. Then what we're looking at is, this is when the service reminders should have been sent, whether it was by us or by yourself. Again, the business was closed, so there was no service reminders that went out during this period. Dealerships were shut, so there's nothing that's actually happened within this period. So this vehicle here that was due for service in August, and hasn't managed to come back in. Again, fantastic that Toyota made that service available to claim. So what we're saying is, this guest is now coming in December, by the time they've sort of got through the rush and been happy to get out of their house and that sort of thing. So again, what's happened is, this is when the services start to go out. Probably jump forward a little bit too far here, but so what we're saying is, this service, again, we haven't got any retention points for this service. The car is due for service here, but the guest is again saying, look, I serviced the car in December, I'm not coming in August because I have a 12-month interval vehicle. We're trying to educate this guest to come back in this period. When the guest comes back in, because again, they've gone to December, they've now gone through to January the next year, they've actually landed in no man's land. So there is no service available here for the dealership to claim. So again, what we're saying is, in the 2-year period with this guest, is they've got 1 service here that you have actually done but you couldn't claim, and then you could claim the service but you didn't get any retention points for it. Then we go 12 months down the track, and now the car's landed here in no man's land, where you can't actually claim the service that is due to be done. So again, there's 2 services that we've lost. The guest hasn't come back in. You've got 0 retention points in this situation. I'm only going to do this for 12-month service interval vehicles, but then you need to look at what's happened with the vehicles that don't have TSA. So the vehicles that are outside of your TSA. As a general rule, we find that this is around half of your service business. So I think a lot of people think that most of the business that they're doing is TSA. Around half of it is non-TSA. So again, vehicles due for service in these periods here, we send the reminders out. Again, the dealership is closed. No reminders were sent out. No services were done, again, because the business was closed. Keep in mind, there's also no vehicles being sold, virtually no vehicles being sold. Cars come in December, which again, everybody got very busy in December. So what we're looking at here now, as we come into this period here, so again, non-TSA vehicles from the previous slide were here, but what we're saying is in this period here, where the vehicles are due for service, we actually don't have any guests to aim for. So again, what we're saying is in this situation here, normal times we would have, just to make it a nice easy number, we would have 100 cars that came in and serviced with your dealership in August. Then 12 months later, what we're saying is, show me all the cars that I serviced in August last year. So again, we say there's 100 services that we did. Reality is we probably get back 80 or 90 of those services, depending on how good your retention is. But what we're saying is we've actually got no guests to aim for when we go back to here. So we don't have 100 guests to aim for, meaning as we get into August this year, we're going to start looking at it saying we've got no customers to go back, no guests to go back and aim to that had their cars serviced, because this guest came in December, which means because we've put the loop sticker on their car that says the car isn't due again till the following December because there's no TSA on it, it means that we're going to have a very quiet period coming in here. So I suppose what you need to start to think about is what the ramifications of that are going to be and what you're going to do to combat it. We're sort of suggesting to our guests, to our clients, we need to start being smarter with things like lost customer campaigns. We need to look at, for TSA guests who were due for service in this period, do we need to actually start an education process to explain to them that their last service was late, and that we acknowledge that they came in late, but that we actually need to get them back in here. So what we're trying to do is we're going to see a flow through November, December, where basically every dealership in Melbourne Metro was crazy busy, and even the rural dealers got crazy busy. Is again, we're going to have a busy period here. We know November, December. What we're trying to do is start now dragging these guests back into this period just here. So look, I hope this all makes sense. There's a fair bit to it. Our contact details are here. If you'd like to have a chat to me about this, if you'd like to go through this with your staff, any of that sort of thing, it'd be great to have a chat to you. I normally take a lot of questions while I'm doing this presentation, so I've managed to get through it fairly quickly, believe it or not. But yeah, hopefully you can speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye.